Well, thank you so much for having us here this wonderful, beautiful morning in Galveston. My name is Stacy Pattenaude. I am the coordinator with academic technology and work with a team of amazing coaches in Northside. And I'm here with my pal John here.
Yeah, thank you, Stacy. My name is John William Moran, and I am the academic technology coordinator for elementary. And I have 12 of the finest coaches in all the land that I get to work with. They're amazing.
That's great. That's great. How has the conference been so far?
It's been pretty great. It's my first time here, and actually it's interesting you were saying that it is an elementary conference. I am a secondary coordinator, but I will say, I went to your session first on podcasting, and it was fantastic, and I think even being a secondary perspective, I've still learned a lot, and I'm really grateful I got to attend. So I think it also is your first time. Yeah, no, it was awesome. It was so great.
Yeah, it's my first time too. I've tried to come a couple of years and things just didn't pan out. So this year, the stars aligned, and it's been great. There's been a lot of great sessions on blended learning. That's a big push in Northside right now, and some work we're very deep into. So it's nice to kind of see that we're in line, calibrated with everybody else.
That is a very important word. The calibration process, especially with coaches.
Yep.
So we're going to talk about that. Now, I've been in my position as an instructional technology specialist, ed tech specialist, whatever you want to call it, 21st century learning specialist, instructional coach, tech coach. Every organization, every state calls it a different thing, but it's all basically the same thing. Working next to a teacher side by side to create impactful use of technology in the classroom so that students walk away with the passion and wanting to continue their learning. In other words, making the kids want to come back to school the next day. So with that being said, about 12 years ago when I started my position in what I currently do in another state though, it was a lot of tool pushing. It was a lot of glorified tool pushing. Check this out. As soon as a teacher came up with a concern or wanting to do a project or some sort of collaboration, as my director would say, my advice monster kicked in. Have you tried this? Have you tried Flip? Have you tried that? Rest in peace to Flipgrid. Mm-hmm. Man, they're walking off into the sunset, but man, did they have an impactful 12 years in education.
Absolutely.
But there's been a transition from, giving teachers advice and try this, check out this tool, to now unpacking what is going on in the classroom, the TEKS, the standards, and actually taking a coaching approach side by side with teachers. How have you guys seen that role transition in the past 5-6 years or so?
I think we would agree with you, and that's why I think we get along so well, because we saw you, I believe, at TCA, and you had a great session on how coaching is...
baking a cheesecake taught me about coaching.
And we were like, sold, we love this guy, because, you speak to that that partnership principles that we really firmly believe in. And also too, we would agree that, it's really about the academic outcomes, the strategies, and then like what tool is going to best serve those academic outcomes and those strategies. And we've been very fortunate in Northside to kind of partner with Weston Kieschnick, the author of Bold School, and he's done some work with us on the coaching piece to really make sure that we're not leading with the tool, we're actually leading with that high quality instruction first. And then, because, if you start asking teachers questions, they may say, hey, I want to use Flipgrid, or hey, I may want to use Padlet. And if you really start questioning and asking them why, well, what is it that you hope to achieve? What are those outcomes you're hoping that the students are meeting? You may find out that is not the tool that serves that purpose well at all. And so that's definitely something I think John and I in our department are very passionate about, is really thinking about those outcomes, the strategies, and then what tool kind of elevates that, and what might be the best tool.
Yeah, I would add on to that. I think we all see the need to partner and support teachers, right? You mentioned the past couple of years. It's always been there, but the pandemic and everything has only exacerbated that situation. So, in my mind, I feel like some of the transition with coaching has been around, we really want to build systems to support teachers, and that's what it really, in my mind, needs to be about. And I feel like a lot of people are open in their mind and they're thinking, and they're not like, I need a coach for help. that help.
Yeah.
To really, I need a partner to help me think through this.
A thought partner.
Yeah. And it's been great. I feel like we still have work to do on that front, but hopefully we'll continue to move the needle in that direction.
I think one thing we've noticed too, as you say that, John, is that trying to be more succinct and more efficient in our coaching, I feel like, is very important. During the pandemic, we were very much like you were asking about, kind of like what his coaching looked like over the last couple of years. We were in a very much like a triage, a very like, we're going to help you right in the moment. We're going to help you get through this and survive. But now we have to move towards like that survival to this thriving, but also understand that cognitive capacity and load that's on teachers. So it's like we have to really work on that efficiency piece. And like we mentioned, we have several coaches and they serve multiple campuses. That can be really challenging, but it's something that we strive for because we know to meet that need, we have to do it sometimes a little bit faster than we maybe would have done in the past. I don't know if that makes sense, but that efficiency piece is something we're always kind of thinking about.
Yeah. It's all about the working smarter. And as a department, you have to take a step back and say, okay, how many coaches do you guys oversee? You said 12, right?
12, yes.
12.
9 secondary.
9 secondary. Okay, so I think the biggest thing that you guys probably look at is, are my 9 coaches all doing the same thing 9 different times? They're creating the same resources 9 different times with 9 different campuses or 9 different sets of teachers. Is there a way, and if so, how can we, as my good friend Wes Ryan would say, what's the multiplier in the room where we can kind of as a team knock out some things together? That way we're not all creating the same 9 strategies out of a playbook or whatever and not talking to each other, not even knowing that we're doing this. But how can we take that and multiply that? That way we can take what 9 people would have done in a total of about 8 hours and knocked it out in 2 for 9 different campuses, 9 different needs or what have you, and maybe take a multi-tier approach where we could then look at our EBs, our emerging bilinguals, and then start, doing your +1 for your differentiation and things like that. And how can we work smarter? That way we have those systems in place where we've already kind of built our own instructional playbook kind of thing, right? So how do you guys combat multiple people working in silos?
Well,
A work in progress.
Because that's a question. I think we're fortunate enough that our teams do a lot of professional learning, group-wise.
Yeah.
Right? Like traditional.
Collaborative.
And then obviously the coaching piece is a little more differentiated, right? And I think each one of our coaches has a unique skill set that allows them to, again, personalize and tailor their work with a teacher. And really that's what we want in the end, right?
Absolutely.
Just like what we would want for kids, we want to give the same scaffold support, structures, routines, procedures for teachers so that way they can feel successful. That's the key to coaching, right? I mean, is being able to level up a teacher and get them, stronger in whatever sense it might be.
Yeah.
So I think when I think about the playbook, we actually did some work around a playbook, and we've had lots of great conversations around different instructional strategies and approaches. But I think what I love about the team is, to your point, like it's less about them saying the exact same things.
Yeah.
But them being able to deliver the same things, right? Because they all have different approaches, like I mentioned.
Yeah.
So I think those conversations around the playbook and everything, that was great because that helped us calibrate. But how do we apply those is a little more unique.
Absolutely.
And it's got to be, right? It's got to be unique for the teacher.
It does. It does. What works for teacher A will not necessarily work for teacher B,
1000%.
even if it's the same strategy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I think, one of the things that we do as a team is we give them that time and that space to we have our own PLCs. We have our department meetings where we spend time kind of talking about different ways that we can be more efficient. And so we try to at least give them that space and that opportunity. And there's always ongoing collaboration, even outside of meetings and smaller groups. But yeah, I think about the playbook too. And I think we, in the beginning, we were really like ambitious. Like we put some really strong, high yield strategies like Socratic seminar, jigsaw, and things like that. But we've also had some follow-up conversations on we may need to scaffold that even more, because maybe somebody isn't ready for something like a Socratic seminar, but what can we do to get their kids collaborating so that maybe that is something they can work towards, because we're seeing just changes in our teacher demographics, depending different skill levels, different programs teachers are coming from. And so I think we've had a lot of, worthy follow-up conversations of what do we need to even do to scaffold and provide strategies before something like that.
Yeah. And, the word coaching. I remember when we started the coaching approach, we did, Schletke, and we read the impact cycle and things like that as a department. But I was very adamant and I was very vocal in our group saying that I was not going to use the word coaching because it wasn't a part of our culture yet as a district. I used the word collaboration for everything. Where I'm, hey, Miss Johnson, whatever, how'd you like to collaborate? I noticed that you're working on this unit, or you've come to me about a particular struggle your students are having or what have you. And so how about, let's collaborate. The word coaching wasn't even in my vocabulary. I didn't want to put it out there because I didn't want that fallacy, that stigma of coaching is something that is done to you, not with you. Yes. So, but I think we're at a point now where I'm using it more and more with my teachers. There's a coaching survey that goes out at the end, and in there it specifically says coaching. Your coaching cycle, how did it go? Kind of thing, to get some feedback. But there's still that stigma. Are you guys seeing that as a group as well?
Yeah, I would agree. We've talked about that, and it's like, how do we make it visible, and how do we brand ourselves so people can actually see, like, what is it that you do with a coach? And so we've had a couple ideas we've thrown around because of ways to make it visible, but ways for people to be proud about it and not something they want to hide, or, I'm getting help, I can't, I have to hide
so
this.
Taboo that
it shouldn't.
They must be on an improvement plan.
Yes. And so we kind of want to demystify that, and how do we show people that it isn't like anybody can have a coach. It doesn't matter what level you are. Anybody should and can get coaching if they want it. And so that's something like we've talked about, is what are some ways that we can show that.
There's life coaches, there's health coaches, there's, you name it. Actors have coaches. Why is it so taboo in education for a teacher to have a coach?
I don't know.
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I think, I think maybe because of all the things you listed, right?
Yeah.
We often think of, support personnel going into
fix something.
Yeah, exactly.
Yes, yeah. Whereas now, and again, there's still work to do, but now it's like, we want to improve for all the reasons, right?
Yes.
So kids go home happier, safer, more comfortable in their own
wanting
skin.
to come back.
Exactly. It's there's a lot more to it, and I the same thing with a teacher. I think of, how many times has a teacher connected with a coach, and that was like the next straw would have broke the back. But instead this lifted a few bells off.
Oh, now I got to do this. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. There's definitely a balance that needs to take place, and there has to be that communal effort to destigmatize some of these terms and make it more normalized. Absolutely. Now, coaches, there's a lot of work on us as coaches to quote unquote get the job done, especially at multiple campuses. I serve 3 campuses with support in coaching. 1 high school, 2 middle schools, and it's a lot of work, and one of the biggest struggles, one of the biggest hurdles is the conference times, the prep times. If I'm in a coaching cycle with 2 teachers who are on 2 different campuses, and we have this coaching cadence where I'm going to meet, visit, meet, and plan and go back and do things with that teacher and their students, if they have the same conference period at those 2 campuses, There's no other way to put it. It sucks.
Yeah.
It really sucks having to tell one teacher, I can't today, or today's the day that we're planning to do our co-teach because, hey, Creo, we got to do that co-teach, by Thursday because Friday we have that assessment kind of thing and we want to look at the data. So I automatically have to do that one on Thursday, which means I have to tell that other teacher no, and then things get pushed back. So there's a lot of things that get in the way, but there's also a lot of tools that can help us. You guys mentioned that as a group, you guys were doing some work with Magic School and kind of helping to get that workflow with your coaches. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, we've spent a good part of our, second semester kind of sharing the love of Magic School with different staff in Northside, and I think there's just a lot of great applications. I think of it has the email writers, it has the thank you cards. Like when we think about, as a coach, you should always be having those, celebrating your teachers, right? So I think of tools like that can help with that productivity and efficiency. I think of some other work y'all have done with blended learning. When I think about the actual coaching cycle itself, and we're working with these teachers to increase engagement, there's so many things. Like I think of what one of your coaches did with playlist, and how can we create those engaging materials using something like Magic School.
Yeah, I feel like tools like Magic School, in my hope, are gonna help seize the tide here on these educators bailing, right? The coaches are able to now much more quickly and efficiently get to the heart of whatever it might be, whatever the learning outcome is, right?
Yeah.
And I think what's great about it is, just as we have so many teachers leaving, we have so many new teachers, and the new variety is, there's such a wide variety of new teachers that are coming into the profession now, and so Magic School, enables you to, scaffold, for a teak, break down a teak, build playlist. And so this really, makes the work much more efficient for the coach and more targeted.
And I think, oh no, it's okay. When we've been talking about that side-by-side work, like John was saying, maybe they're sitting with that teacher and they're trying to build a playlist. I've seen, so it kind of complements that human work that's already going on. I have seen coaches working in a PLC where, to John's point, the standards unwrapper tool, and you have a team that maybe has some inexperienced teachers that may not know what exactly does the standard mean. And I have joked with people that, Magic School unwraps the standard in about 30 seconds, where before I would teach people how to do this, and it could take an hour to unwrap certain standards.
Yeah.
And I'm you may still have 4 different, views or visions or ideas of how that might look.
Yeah, yeah.
This at least tightens it up for you, gets you right to the heart of whatever it is you're trying to deliver on.
Absolutely. And, that's, to me, the unpacking of the standard is the most important thing that needs to happen, because from there you take a look at the learning outcomes that need to happen in order for that target TEAC standard to be met, which then allows me to plan the unit, the concept or skill, break it down into skills and that. So just that alone right there, if I could do that in 30 seconds, I got all this other time where we can now get creative with the work and things like that. So you've done some stuff with not project-based learning.
Blended learning.
Blended learning. So, there you go. So talk to us about that, John.
Yeah. So in Northside, we have been fortunate to, have the support with CNI to do some blended learning. When we first looked at the work, it was pre-pandemic, and the idea here was let's get the technology use a little more, engaging, a little more effective, a little more instructionally aligned. But then, the pandemic changed everything. So when we came back, a lot of our push for blended learning was to get kids opportunities to be offline again.
Okay.
Right, to strike a balance, because now teachers knew these tools and they were using them, and in some cases not the most effectively. So the pilot's been great. We have 13 campuses. We're bringing on 4 more.
Oh, you guys are actually piloting with Magic School, campus-wide?
Yeah, not with Magic School, blended learning.
Oh, blended learning. Okay, sorry.
It leads to a lot of use of Magic School for the coaches, for the teachers, to help, again, tailor playlists, to help unpack standards, to help, extend for the gifted kids,
Yes.
Reteach, all the things. It really, it differentiates for the teacher just as we want to differentiate for the coach. I feel like I keep saying that.
I feel like I've never heard that, but it's pretty powerful. So it differentiates for the teacher as well as the student. I like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. I've never looked at it from that approach, but it really does.
It does.
It really does.
No question.
Absolutely.
And that's profound. Like when a teacher can, really dial into the instructional, experiences a kid has, no matter where they're in the classroom, whether online, offline, hybrid, whatever, that's when the magic happens, right?
No pun intended.
It's great. It's been awesome. It's been really helpful. The timing is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It is. It's interesting to see where, the product has grown. It's only been out 2 years. I think it was May 2022 where it was officially out. I had a conversation with Adil Khan, the CEO, at TCA. And he spoke about the idea that he got from seeing AI, how he got a team together to kind of help do some things, and it took off. Within months, they were at ISD 2022, and they had a table probably not bigger than this. And he was saying that they had to they didn't even have monitors or anything. They couldn't afford them, but they had an Airbnb that they were staying at, and they took the bar stools from the Airbnb and walked over monitors and TVs that they weren't supposed to, but they did it. And in 2 years, that product has grown. You want to talk about grassroots? It doesn't get any more grassroots than this. So, but the amount of time that teachers are saving with tools like Magic School and coaches as well, I use it for, one of my big things is there's one particular coaching cycle that I could think of where the teacher was having difficulty with her students with inferencing. So as a coach 5 years ago, I would have had to have found, some readings, some articles, some text excerpts. I would have had to evaluate them. I would have had to make sure that they were on level with the grade level. Make sure the teacher hadn't used them yet, like if they were star release, because that's the first thing we do is at least in Texas, we'll pull from last year's state test and use their samples. But now I can tell it, hey, I want a comprehension, an excerpt that is tailored for this grade level, at this Lexile level. I'm working on this particular concept of inferencing, and I need you to give me an on level, an above level.
I was just going to say, you tell it, you just took care of 15 kids. Now you iterate and you take care of the other 8 or whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. And then, throw it into a Google Doc or something, and tweak it, make it fit the needs of that teacher. And if I'm working with multiple teachers in that particular content area at multiple campuses, there's my efficiency. There is my efficiency right there. So is everyone on board at Northside with Magic School and that getting that efficiency going?
I think that's what it's all about in my head right now.
And I even think about, where you were mentioning the founder, and I think, when you look at his mission and his vision of the product, I definitely think it's it really resonates. I think his background is in special ed, if I'm not mistaken, and a lot that's been a big win for us. Is we've had that privilege of being in front of many audiences of special ed educators and looking at the IEP tool, but we're still having those conversations about be responsible, do not put any personal identifiable information, right?
Yes.
And so we're like, yes, it's a great tool and it's going to save you tons of time with those social stories, the IEP, but also, we always give them those guidelines of do not put in let's pay attention to data privacy, pay attention to PII. And so, but I definitely think, for us, we typically share, ChatGPT, Magic School. Eventually, we're really excited that we'll be turning on Canva Magic Studio for our high school students.
Interesting.
looking forward to that as kind of a step in the direction of student use. But what I will say about Magic School that we have experienced firsthand is that, you know, you start your kind of session with this audience and you have some naysayers, you have some skeptics. And then once they get in and they touch one or two of the tools in Magic School, they're like, I love AI. What else?
The jaw drops. The jaw drops.
And that's been our kind of a really cool experience for us, because you walk in sometimes to a room that they're like, oh, we can't use this. And
I'm not tech savvy.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, boy. I remember
so
that.
It definitely, there's a lot of believers, because I think Magic School gives people confidence with like the exemplars, and it shows them like, what does a good prompt look like? I think it's just, you know, for people where ChatGPT, you have to be a little more savvy as a prompt engineer. With Magic School, the fact that it kind of has that built-in piece is very
It knows
awesome.
you're a teacher.
Right.
Yeah.
It knows you're a teacher.
The instructional lens.
Yeah, exactly. Now, this is a whole nother episode on its own, but I want to kind of touch upon it with this particular question. The school year has ended, at least here in Texas. There are coaches who might be going on to, you know, greener pastures. There are some of them who are going to be retiring. Mm-hmm. And so we're going to get a new crop of coaches.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're going to bring on 2.
You guys are bringing on 2?
Yes.
Okay. What is one piece of advice that you would give a coach? And like I said, we can go on for a whole nother episode on this, which I need to, but what is one really piece of advice that you would give a brand new coach just coming out of the classroom? Think about that. And while you're thinking, you're officially on the EdTech Bites podcast where we break bread.
Oh,
so
nice.
I brought, so you guys can split those, because I got a whole nother bag over here.
Right on.
Oh, you're so sweet. I love that.
No pun.
If
no pun intended. Donut, sweet.
If I'd known there were donuts, I would have signed up earlier.
Because we're being sweet. I don't know. For me, as a new coach, you have to give yourself permission and time to build relationships. And that is with, you know, the campuses you serve, the campus administrators, teachers, your department. Give yourself time and give yourself grace, because that is, to me, the foundation for change management and wanting to see, I guess, the things that we want in classrooms, and wanting, you know, we want to transform learning. But relationships are very key to that. And I would say you have to give yourself permission and time.
Yeah. I would add to that the same grace and permission and time to just figuring out like the structure of a day, structure of a week. Coming from a classroom, it's, you know, I remember I had all the transition times set on my phone.
Yep.
There's
multiple alarms, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Coaches are in a whole different role where they're creating their own, you know, times to go check in on teachers and do all the things they do. And that really takes some time to process and think about, you know, how do I need to structure my day? Which, again, with tools like Magic School, ChatGPT, you know, Gemini, which is one of my personal faves lately, they help you do those things. They help you build in those structures. But, you know, be willing to change it and be willing to, you know, adjust as needed. Because there's no two coaches that are alike either.
No, there isn't. And like you said earlier, each coach brings a specific skill set to the table. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that is a needed skill set for the entire group.
Yeah, and they come with a unique skills, you know, toolbox
as
well. You know,
yes,
like
absolutely. Yeah,
history and professional.
I would love to hear that podcast. Maybe we could invite some of our coaches to share some of their experience, because
that's almost like a panel discussion.
It really is.
Yeah,
I mean, I'm going to volunteer some of them.
Okay.
I hope they're listening, and I'm going to say bring it, because I do agree. Depending on the experience that they're walking into in this position, you go from a very structured day as a teacher so if you're going from being a classroom teacher to being a coach, it is very different, and it can feel very. Sometimes you're really busy. Sometimes you're getting ready for professional learning, and there's ebbs and flows, and it's okay. But so that time management piece, I think, to John's point, is also very true. And figuring that out is it's different, because you're very different roles.
I will say that my first day on the job, 2011, 2012, I want to say it was, I felt out of place being on the road at 10:30 a.m. Mm-hmm. I was driving from one campus to another, and I didn't feel right because I had been in a classroom for years. So I called my director and told her I was traveling from one place to another. And she said, Gabriel, you do not need to do that. I trust you. That's why we hired you. You do not need to call me every time you go from one place to another. But it didn't feel right. I was like, I'm out on the road. There's sunshine. Like, what's going on? And it's one of those things you have to give yourself grace. There's going to be the busy time. There's going to be the time where you have to work on professional development. So you might be locked in an office. You might be working on something, and it's not going to feel like you're doing the best work because you're not working with others. You're not teaching. You're not coaching. You're not collaborating. You're locked into a computer, and you're going to feel like, I feel like I'm doing my district a disservice because I'm not working with people. And that's a normal thing to feel, but it has to happen for those professional learning opportunities and extended coaching cycles and for that to happen. Yeah.
Because that's important too. We always tell the coaches, like, those are opportunities to get teachers to extend their learning through coaching. And so we also want to, make sure we're doing a great job in any of those professional learning sessions outside of coaching, because that's when we attract teachers who want to work with us. And so those are great investment opportunities as well.
Yes, they are.
I would add, this is in the words of one of my very talented coaches, also that thief is the comparison is the thief of joy. And I say that because the demographics in Northside really vary, and so certain coaches are working with certain title schools, etc., and certain coaches are not, and they're working with higher socioec. But I say that because I don't think you should be comparing yourselves to others in that sense. Like, dig in, get to know your people at your schools, work to serve them. Like, that is coaching, right?
Yeah, it is.
It may not look the same again at the two different schools because of the different challenges, but the heart of the work is the same. The outcome might be a little different.
Yeah. The way you get to that outcome might be a little bit different, but either way, it's coaching.
Right.
All right. Well, man, we're going to tie a pretty little bow on this because I think, if we were to continue, it would be that other podcast that we're gonna record at some point.
I think we need it.
Yes, it's a much needed one, especially in the summer.
Yes,
especially in the summer. So
good.
How can people connect with you guys on social media if you have a presence?
Yeah, I'm on Twitter or X, whatever
Twix.
It is now.
Twix. I like that. I'm on Twix too.
Carl Hooker is the one who put that in my ear. I can't get it out. Twix.
I love it.
Yeah. So my Twix handle is at JOHN, John _W _Moran.
Okay.
I'll give you the history there. My first name is after my grandfather, my father's side.
Okay.
And my mother reminded me all the time that my middle name is after her father. So she would like me to include it in all the things, hence John William Moran is all over everything.
I love it.
So
love it. Keeping that legacy alive.
Got to.
Mine does not have a great story, but it's okay. My Twix handle is at SM Pattenaude, PATTENAUDE. So.
Okay, and all that information is going to be in the show notes if you want to connect with our guests here and just kind of learn from Stacy and John and what they do. So don't worry about trying to write this down. Put it in your Google Keep, your Apple Notes. It'll be in the show notes. You can click and connect with them instantly. And I do have one last question. Okay? Corn tortillas or flour tortillas?
Oh.
I need context.
I know, right? I need to know
what's going on the tortilla.
Corn tortillas
what
or
are we
flour
eating?
tortillas?
What time of day is it?
What kind of
tacos? Tortillas or flour tortillas? This is not a coaching cycle, sir.
All right. I love them both.
Right.
I'm
an equal opportunity taco eater.
So you're going to go with both?
Am I allowed to?
No, you can't.
I'll cite HEB Mixellas.
The corn and flour mix. Okay.
Oh.
They do make a mixed one. That's half and half.
Yes.
Even when you heat it up really hot, it's still like a little gummy consistency with the flour, but it's good.
Yeah.
It's definitely good. Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to go with flour. I'm a flour girl.
Okay.
I was born and raised in New York, so
That I did not know.
yes. So
Okay.
I mean, really, my judgment of tortillas is there's no value in it at all.
Okay, so let me spin it on you. Yankees or Mets?
Oh my God, please. Who are the Mets?
Okay.
Are they a real team?
Okay. I don't have my gunshots, otherwise I would say shots fired.
No.
But all right, well, thank you guys for the conversation. Thank you for everything you contribute to our educational space, what you guys are doing with your coaches and your colleagues over at your district, and just the overall goodness that you guys bring to our space. And thank you for, sharing your thoughts, your insight on coaching. And we are definitely going to cook up another episode on that hopefully this summer. So we need to get that going.
Yeah, that would be great.
Thank you for all you do.
Yes.
I think this is my first official podcast. Please don't tell my husband I will not appear on his podcast.
I remember you mentioning that yesterday.
He's going to be very jealous because this is way out of our comfort zone. But thank you for providing that space, that safe space for us to express our ideas. And you're a master at podcasting. I'm very jealous. You have a great voice. I aspire to be like you someday.
I have a face for podcasts, as people say.
So that's how that works. I should have been a podcast.
No, y'all sound great. I'm like, ooh, I need more practice. But hey, but thank you. It's been a great experience.
This is a blast, and it's always fun running into you.
Likewise.
We got to break bread over cheesecake.
Yes.
There we go. All right.
No,
We'll make that happen.
The food tour.
Yeah, we're going to make that happen.
I got a guy.
You know a guy.
Yeah, I got a guy.
All right. Well, you guys enjoy the rest of your conference. Thank you.
You too.
Thank you so much.